What's going on, y'all? It's TCG here, back again with another video, and today I want to talk to you about a leader that I think is really underrated right now in the current meta. I feel that it has a decent matchup with all three of the top big decks, and a really good matchup against anything that is not those decks. So I've been playing Red Purple Luffy, and I know that's a surprise. I am the I hate red decks guy, or whatever you want to say, but right now, I'm loving this red deck. Honestly, it's really strong. It's insanely powerful. I know a lot of people are driven away by this leader by the fact that it only has 3 life, but I guarantee you if you deck build it right, then the 3 life is not an issue. 6k power on a leader, as we've seen before with Edward Newgate, is just absolutely insane, and I think that this deck gets to abuse it almost a little bit more than Newgate did, you know, because you're not having to take those life at the end of your turns. So you just get to defend yourself more. You know, you keep those life cards as long as you can, and then you defend yourself with rad beams, with extra 2Ks, with jet gatlings, things like that. I'm not playing any blockers. I feel that this format's just not great for having blockers on the field because of Sakazuki. You play them and they get blown up the next turn. I was testing 4-cost Law in this deck to do some hand control and some blockage, but against Sakazuki, it's really just hand control. You just get to rip 2 cards from them every now and again, and then they blow it up next turn, so it doesn't feel worth it. And then against the Nell, it's fine, I guess, too, but usually they have enough bodies on field to combat you having it just one blocker. But like I said, I've been having decent success with this. You know, it doesn't win every game, but I feel that it has a really strong Sokka matchup, and the Enel matchup is a little iffy, but we do have the Luffy to combat their Rush Enel, and we get to become really big, which can be hard for their little 5k swings every turn. And then if we can get them down to a point where they're at 1 life or 0 life, and they've already done their leader effect, they're at 0 life, and we can turn skip them, it is almost always a close out there. You just have to be aware of their triggers. You know, you can never be sure what to expect, if it's a Beige, if it's a Sanji, if it's an Amaru and they get to heal 2 instead of 1, any of that stuff. But it has a decent matchup against that deck too. And then against Purple Luffy, it also has a really good matchup unless they draw double Magellan. If they see 2 Magellan, it's very, very hard to win the game against that, because this deck, you know, it likes to ramp, but it does not get to ramp as fast as other purple decks, say Kaido, any deck that can play Island, or Purple Luffy, because we just don't play a lot of ramp cards. You know, I am on 7 ramp cards, and then my leader effect lets me ramp once I hit 8 or if I'm at 0, but other than that, I'm not ramping a whole lot during this game. So playing against Magellan, I guess Magellan is another hard matchup, just the leader itself, because they're always searching for those Magellans. Magellan character is a it kills this deck, but I have won games through it before. Actually, I did get double Magellan in a game I was testing the other day, and I did get through it. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight this deck and say that I think that this is super slept on right now. And if you haven't tested this out, you're having a hard time with Sakazuki at your locals and stuff, you're wanting to play something a little different, I definitely recommend Red Purple Luffy, because I was also testing out Red Purple Law, and I think that that's also a great meta choice. But I also tested out Red Purple Kid, and I think that that deck is just lacking 1 or 2 cards. I think that the new reveal from the EB set is actually really good for that deck. The Kid and Killer card, the red one that gets Rush, I think that card's really strong. But other than that, I think that this leader might be, him and Law are kind of battling for the top leader from the Ultimate deck. But that's enough chit-chatting about the leader. I do want to hop into the actual deck list and tell you my thoughts and what I was thinking when I was building this deck, and the changes that I've made to it to get it to this version. So, like I said, my original version, I was running 4-cost Law. I cut it because it just gets blown up too much. It doesn't put enough work. I really would rather do some other things with my Dawn than play that Law at a lot of times. So, I have cut that. I was on a lot less 2Ks, and I was on 4 Basil Hawkins, but now I'm on 14 2Ks, I'm on 4 Rad Beams, and I'm on 3 Jet Gatlings. I've been thinking about playing Guard Point as well, just to go for this massive wall build that you just get your leader really big, and then you have a bunch of counter in your hand so they cannot hit you, and then your big bodies shift to attack next turn, and you just close out the game from there, and maybe even turn skip them with the Gear 5. So we're on 2 copies of Sanji. I put Sanji at 2 over the other ones just because I don't know. I feel like I'm not ever going to put this on the field. I'm never going to take that life card for this when I'm already at 3 life. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather just use it as a 2K. And to search all of our 2Ks, we have Nami. All of our 2Ks are searchable by Nami. And she searches all our 2Ks, our Janbeis, and our Radical Beams, as well as our Rush Luffy and Gear 5 Luffy. So she can search a majority of the deck. It feels really good to play 1 or 2 Namis on turn 1. We do like to go second with this deck, at least I do, so that we can be on 2 Dawn, get a search, go on to 4 Dawn, and ramp either with Disaster. Disaster is what we really want to see, or Basil Hawkins is less ideal because we don't get that draw. And you might be wondering why I'm not playing Zorojuro. I was testing Zorojuro, but I don't like it against Sokka specifically because you stick it on the field and the next turn, if they have Hound Blaze, they're getting rid of it immediately. So I'd rather spend my Dawn on a guaranteed ramp rather than having to put my ramp relying on a character surviving the next turn. And that's what Hawkins and Disaster do. They get me that guaranteed ramp, so I know that I will go up to 5. I'll be on 7 the next turn, and we can drop Kid, put us down to 6, be at a 7k leader for the turn, and then next turn we'll be at 8. We can use our leader effect, ramp to 9, and we can drop Newgate. And theoretically, you want to drop 2 Newgates in a row. If you have them and you can drop 2 Newgates in a row, always drop 2 Newgates in a row. It's insane, especially if you have a kid established already, or better yet, if you have 2 kids on field and you drop a Newgate and you become a 10k leader. That's absolutely crazy, and most decks can't deal with that for the turn. They kind of just try to set up and defend instead of going for lethal. So yeah, that's the Dawn curve. But next, like I said, we are on 4 copies of Newgate. This is key in this deck. Like I said, it makes your leader 8k, and then it can also deal with some pesky stuff in this format, you know, like if you play against Sakazuki, you can just blow up their Rebecca, so their blocker that they played to get a Hina on field is absolutely useless. And you can also use it on Shirahoshi so that Enels can't stack those back with a Katakuri. And then even if you're playing against more of a rogue matchup like Corazon, Rosinante, they love to play Sugar, and Sugar is a big problem for a lot of decks. They just don't have removal. We don't play removal in this deck, so you have to kind of try and play around that Sugar, and they can just keep blocking the hits with their leader. So once we finally establish that Newgate, if they still have a Sugar on field, we can just blow it up. Those are just a few examples. I'm sure it comes in handy a little bit more because it's not just 0 power, it is 3k or less power, so you can blow up searchers and stuff like that too. Nobody's really playing small chump blockers, but you can also get a brand new. There's a lot of different things you can blow up with Newgate. He's really strong in this deck, makes your leader 8k just like in Newgate, but you're not taking that life, so that last part of his effect doesn't really come up, but being 8k for a turn is absolutely crazy. We are on 4 copies of Brook. I do like Brook just as another searchable 2k. If you do have to put another body on the field, this gets you your Dawn usage back, and it can be a body to swing with if you need it to the next turn. Unlikely that it'll live through Sokka, but if you have to play it, you can. I almost never put any 2k on the field. If I were to put one, it'd be for Nosuke just to get that rush, but they're all for pitching power just to defend your leader. We are on 4 copies of Monkey D. Luffy Rush because against Enel, this is crazy. It turns their Enel rush card offline, so you just beat into it and they have to counter out, and that can really get a lot of cards out of their hand, or it just gets them a good body off the field. And also really good for closing out games against Sakazuki and Enel when they have a lot of blockers on field. You could just rush right through them and don't even have to worry about them or think twice. We are on 3 copies of Basil Hawkins. I was at 4 because you do want that ramp, but I just tried to cut and make as much room for 2Ks as I could, and I cut another one of these. That might be wrong. I might end up going back to 4 just to help get that guaranteed ramp 100%, but almost every time I draw a hand or mulligan for a new one, I see one of these, so if it's one or the other, I'm not really mad at it. I do like Hawkins having a counter, but I like Disaster more for the draw. Next, we're on 4 Usohachi. This is just another 2K. I guess you could put this on the field, but it's not sticking. It's not really good. I don't want to put it on the field. I really just like it for a searchable 2K. Same with Fernosuke, searchable 2K, but this one does have rush if you have 8 or more Dawn, so if you do have to put something on the field, try and get an extra last hit in, you can do that. I've seen it work in Purple Luffy before. I don't know why it wouldn't work in this deck if we have the Dawn for it. Next, we're on the big boss of the deck, the Gear 5 10 cost Luffy. This card's phenomenal with this leader, and I think it works better with this leader than it does the Purple Luffy leader, because when you play this, you should be at 10 Dawn already. So you play this, you go -10 after all your attacks. You go -10, shuffle everything away, and then you get to use your leader effect to get to 1. You get to use this effect to get to another active 1. And then if you have a Nami in hand, you can use that Nami and get an extra search that turn, which is really nice. And then you go to your next turn, you get 2 more Dawn, so you'll be at 4. You use this again, you're at 5 Dawn, 4 active with 1 rested, and that's actually broken. Usually that's enough to close out the game. If you're playing against a deck that isn't a Nell and they're on 1 life, you get that 4 Dawn under your leader, or 3 with 1 save for Janbei, and you just swing in for 9 or 10, and then you swing for 12 with the Gear 5, and it can usually close you out a game. Next, we're on 4 copies of Eustace Captain Kidd. This is another MVP of the deck. If you see it on curve, off of curve, if I'm on like 9+ Dawn, I have Newgate or Kidd in my hand, I'm playing the Newgate every time. But if you have to play the Kidd, like if you don't have another great option for Dawn usage that turn, you can't go for lethal, you want to get another body on field, you want some more defense, it's always good to play. This card's phenomenal, especially once you hit that 8 Dawn, that 9 Dawn threshold, and your leader effect is active, or live, I guess I should say. This card just becomes that much better, because when you're shuffling that Dawn back, you get it back again for free, and you're not worried about going minus for it. When I was first testing the deck, there'd be turns where I'd be at 8, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to Kidd, and then I'm going to go minus, and then I'll get it back, but I've fucked myself up on that too many times to know not to do that anymore, because you go down to 7, can't use leader effect, you always ramp first, then use the Kidd. But phenomenal card, especially if you stack 2 of them on the field, makes your leader 8k every turn. It's broken. This card's hard to remove for most decks, and with all these 2ks and rad beams and jet gatlings, it's very hard to get off the field. Next, we are on 4 Rad Beam, just the best red counter event for 1 Dawn. You gotta play it. Like I said, I was thinking about playing a couple guard point as well, but if I were to switch anything, I guess it'd be the Gatling. I'm not too sure about that, because we are playing quite a few no counter cards, so pitching something for a counter to basically make it a 1k and this a 2k makes this feel pretty good. We are on 3 copies of Janbei, because a lot of players, I should say, don't respect this card, and when you pump it onto this Gear 5 Luffy and they're at 0 life, they're not winning that game, brother. You're just killing them instantly. A lot of decks like Purple Luffy and Sakazuki love to hold up on blockers at the end of the game, so having this just to be able to get out of that and get right past their blockers is absolutely insane, especially with it being searchable not by Nami. You can even put it on your leader. I played a game at locals the other week with this deck, and I was on that other build with the law and stuff, but the entire game, the only thing I ever put on the field was a Luffy. I was playing against Sakazuki. I just kept hitting big with my leader. I ramped, I put a Luffy on the field, I kept hitting big, and then I used 2 Janbeis when he had a bunch of blockers on the field, and I closed out the game. It was a pretty quick game, and I didn't have to put anything on the field. You know, Sakazuki relies on you to have stuff on the field to get maximum value, or their cards are just vanillas. And when you don't do that, or you put big bodies that they have to waste their whole turn removing, like Newgate and Kidd, and then they don't get a swinging on you, it just feels good. It feels really worth it. But I really do like Janbei in certain matchups, like Purple Luffy and against Sakazuki. It really puts in the work. Next, we're on 3 copies of Gum Gum Jet Gatling. This card's just being searchable by Nami, having the trigger to add a Dawn active rather than the Bad Manners Kick Course trigger, which I can't remember what that is. I think it gives minus 3,000 or something, or KO something, but being able to ramp if you pull this out of life is better than whatever Kick Course was, because I was thinking about that as well, but I do like this a little bit better. And then finally, we are on in my opinion, one of the best cards in the deck, the Lead Performer Disaster. Being able to ramp guaranteed instead of having to gamble with that Zoro against certain matchups, and then also getting a draw is really strong in my opinion, you know, and it sets it active. So typically you'll be at 4 Dawn, you use this, you ramp active, you draw hopefully a 2k or one of your big bombs if you're missing them, and then you get that last on to stick under your leader to make a 7k hit on that turn. I think that's really strong, and I've been enjoying it a lot. But if you've been testing this leader out, I'd love to see your build of it. If you're not a part of my Discord community, make sure to go join that in the link in the description below. I'd love to see what you have, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. If you don't have Discord, post your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to think about this leader, and let's go ahead and jump into a game and see what we can do with this leader. All right, y'all, before we jump into this game, I do want to shout out Dueling Guard. If you haven't heard of Dueling Guard, they're the best TCG accessory company on the market that makes high quality anime inspired TCG accessories like deck boxes, binders, and playmats. And if you haven't checked them out before, definitely go check out their website. They've got a bunch of new drops live right now, including the 3 Captains collection, which features Kid, Law, and Luffy. So if you're playing one of those decks, it would go perfect with those. Make sure to go check those out in the link in the description and use code GumGumTCG for a discount at checkout. What? You haven't heard of Dueling Guard? Dueling Guard is the best TCG accessory company on the market. They have high quality deck boxes, binders, and playmats made for people who enjoy playing and collecting trading card games in style. They have tons of designs based off of fan favorite animes such as One Piece, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and many more. They hit the ground running earlier this year, making high quality TCG accessories with beautiful designs that have sold out many times. So if you haven't picked up any of their products, make sure to do so before they sell out again. I have a few deck boxes and playmats from them already and can attest to how they don't cut any corners when it comes to quality, performance, and design. I highly recommend their products and use them every time I play cards. Be sure to check the description below for a link to their site and use code GumGumTCG for a discount at checkout. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into a game. I'm really hoping to go up against one of the big 3. If we don't queue up with one of those, I am going to try to queue up with something else. I'd like to queue up with Purple Luffy, Enel, or Sakazuki specifically, just to show you what this deck can do against the top meta threats right now. Specifically Sakazuki. I know a lot of people are having a hard time playing against that deck, but I guess we'll play against Rob Lucci, not what I expected to see. So let's see what Rob Lucci can do. And looking at this hand, I'm not really digging it. We do have some counters. We do have a mid-range attacker. We have our Jambe and we have our Gear 5, but I'm looking for Nami and Disaster, and that's exactly what we got right there. We are going first, which is not our good curve, but we can make this work if we play it right. And I would grab the Jet Gatling, but I think I'm just going to take another 2k here just to get a little more defense. I am scared of this though, because they do get that double attack. So if they load up their leader, KO something, and then get to swing twice with it, it could be the end of the line for us. But right now, like I said, if we were going second, we would get to play that Disaster. But since we're not, we're going to load up this Nami, and we're going to swing in with it, and then we're going to swing 6 with our leader. So they are just going to trash some cards here. I know CP loves to have a bunch of cards in the trash, and there's an interesting one. They like to hand rip with the Shirahoshi, and it's also just a good 2k, but getting to make your opponent trash a card out of their hand is pretty damn funny too. So hopefully they won't play that on us, but if they do, it's not a problem. We have a Hawkins we can throw away. They're just going to spam him into our Nami. That's not a big deal. Let's see if he does decide to do his leader effect here, though, because he did get a KO. No, he's going to play a Bluno and pass. Bluno does not have blocker right now, and on KO, he will get back probably this Kumadori, if I would imagine anything. And here we don't have a great play other than to ramp with our Disaster, which is exactly what we want to do. And we're just going to go in here for 8 at him. He has countered. He is down on cards. He's probably just going to take this. I imagine he would. If he just counters this, I'm kind of ecstatic, because then he'd be so low on cards and we should be able to clean up the game easily. One thing I'm noticing though is we are lacking on our big bodies right now. We don't have a Kid for next turn. We don't have a Newgate for next turn. That's what we really want to see. But honestly, we can just... Oh, interesting. I guess he's just going to swing big. Well, we do have the Hawkins for the counter. We can just keep swinging big, so I'm not really too worried about it. He's just going to go again. We're going to counter, and then I think I am going to take this one. I'm not too scared yet. Oh, that's crazy. Get a draw off the trigger, and we're at 9 now. So honestly, now's not the best time to play this, but I do like the idea of playing this now because we can ramp to get to it. We won't be on optimal Dawn curve with it, but we don't really have another better choice, and we got to start establishing something. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to ramp. We're going to kill this Spandam. And then we are going to use it because this is going to be a body that's going to be hard for them to get rid of unless they have exactly Ice Age and something else. So without that, they are kind of done for. And we do get our 2 Dawn. We did draw a Rush Luffy. That's not exactly what we want to see, but we are going to get to go up to 3 here. And I'm just going to take out this Bluno. I don't want him having that blocker on the field. And although he is going to bring out something else here, I'd rather get the blocker out of the picture. And it is rested, so honestly, I'm honestly thinking we just go big at it and make him get rid of the cards out of his hand if he wants to keep that body. So because now we have a 12k on the field, like this is going to be hard for him to get. Oh, I might have spoke way too soon. If he Ice Ages me and then plays like a Kaku, I'm actually gonna lose it. We are going to be on 5 Dawn next turn, though, which is all right. We can play the Luffy if we need to, or we can just keep swinging big. Sabo's not bad here, actually. Sabo's really good for him. He gets to load up that trash and gets a good defensive blocker on the field, but he's only going to be able to swing 7 at me, so I'm not too worried. I can just drop a 2k. 6 or 7. I guess 6 and find something. Bluno, get that blocker on the field again. Yeah, we'll drop that 2k for you, brother. And then, like I said, we're on the 5. We are going to use this to go up to 6. I think we are going to hold 2 for this rad beams just in case we need them, because we are running short on 2ks. But we get a 9 hit here and a 12 hit, which are both really strong. You know, it's at least 3 cards out of his hand or his blocker off the field, and I'd take either, honestly. And he's getting big on cards in hand right now, so kind of scared. Not really, though. I don't know what I would be scared of. I don't know if he plays 10-drop Kuzan. That could be pretty cool, but it's not going to blow up my dude. It's just going to make him really low. He does get to draw on trash and then give -2. So I guess I'd be scared of Ice Age here, like I mentioned a minute ago. If he gets rid of this in any capacity, that's kind of what I'm scared of. But we might be able to... Well, I was going to say we might be able to close out the game here, but it looks like he accidentally trashed the Ice Age. He either accidentally trashed it or it trashed through an effect or something, and he scooped because of it. But let's queue up into another one, see if we can't find something else to play against. All right, and we're queuing up for game number 2 here. Not really what I want to play against. This is going to be a bad showing for this deck. I will play it just to show you, but Zoro is a little too fast-paced for this deck. And honestly, like, I know there are some Zoro players out there still, but a lot of people are playing different decks instead of Zoro right now. He even took my curve. What a nasty man. I just haven't seen Zoro in so long, and people still cope for it on the sim. Like, it's still strong. It's fast-paced, which is good for against Sakazuki, but like, he's just a little too fast-paced for our leader, right? Like, he could put a Dawn on here, and then all he has to do is put 2 on all of his dudes, and that's 3 swings at us next turn, which he can't exactly do next turn, but still, it's not looking pretty for us, especially with only 1 counter in hand. But we will play it out, see what we can do. Like I said, I'd like to play against something that's like one of the top meta dogs right now, so I can show you what that matchup is like, specifically Sakazuki, but I don't think we're going to get to do that in this video. But like I said, I do believe that this deck has a really good Sakazuki matchup. We just put all this pressure on them that they can't do much about because they are so focused on removal and not as focused on trying to kill us as they should be. And now, see, like I said, this is kind of where the problem comes in, is like these little guys like Mogura, Makino, stuff like that gives their little dudes a boost for just 1 Dawn, and then they do get those swings in. Now we don't have a counter in hand, and I really do not like taking a life on turn 2 with this leader. It's really what you don't want to do. And now it also honestly feels like I have to kill this buggy. I'm not on a good curve. I don't have a ramp tool this turn. My only other option is this Luffy. And honestly, I think we're going to have to sacrifice it to try and just get rid of this buggy if we can. Unless he wants to give me something for it, like multiple cards. I'll take multiple cards, but like I said, we're just not sitting pretty here with 1-2K. We could have saved one for Rad Beam, I guess, and just gone for a bigger hit, but I don't want him having so many bodies on field, and he's already got a lot of cards in hand too. Jet Pistol's fine with me, you know. I mean, now he has to have like Makino, and I imagine he has it. Sunny Coon's not bad either, but the 6K swing we will counter out of, and then we can drop our kid this turn. Doesn't feel great, but God, it really doesn't feel great not having any more counter in hand. Like, this is one of the things that this deck struggles with, is if you don't draw your counter, which is why I play so many. So I'm honestly not sure why I'm not seeing them, but I do have to go for the kid here. You know, we have to get something on field like this to be able to combat him in the next couple turns. But honestly, if he just loads up everything and goes for a bunch of swings, which is what Zoro does, we kind of just lose. Like, there's nothing else we can do, honestly. Having no counter in hand really hurts. Okay, well, he's gonna go Fire Fist to give minus 4K, and then I imagine he might just try and pop it. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, we still have to take a hit here, which sucks, but we do get to Newgate next turn, which will make us pretty hard for him to hit. And we will also, no, we will only be on 8. I was gonna say we'll also hold one for Rad Beam, but not good when you don't have the ramp or any counters, or when they use Makino, or when they don't attack. That's crazy. We'll take it. We don't like another Newgate here, but god damn, I wish we saw like a Jet Gatling or something. That's what we really needed. But we'll go in. He's probably gonna Rad Beam this. I imagine that's what he saved that Dawn for. Or he forgot that I was 7. No, he saved it for the beam. He is going to have to push a little harder here with all of his Dawn, but I mean, he puts one on leader that turns all these little guys into 4Ks. The Makino makes the buggy. I mean, it's 7 now. He just needs one Dawn to make an 8K hit, and we kind of just lose here. Like, I can defend another hit now, but then he's got a couple more that he can swing in at us, I guess. Like, it just doesn't feel great. And we can't really win next turn, I don't imagine. If he has another Makino here, it's actually crazy. We actually just lose on the spot. This deck just feels a little too quick for us. And like I said, I don't expect to see a lot of Zoro around. I haven't seen Zoro at any of my locals in forever. So, like, I imagine there will be some people playing it at Nats, but I'm not too worried about it. I do want to play this Newgate really bad. We would have one for Rad Beam. We would have this, and we do have this as well. But I mean, honestly, like, we have to do some board clearance. If we don't, he can just kill us next turn, even if we're at 8. Like, honestly, even being at 8, if he just puts everything on lead, that's going to make him 15K. We'd be at 8, so we go to 11, 15. I mean, it's a stretch, but he could maybe make it happen, and we don't have another life card to draw to maybe save us either. So what really sucks is having to do board clearance here when we should be going for lethal. So I mean, yeah, like I said, it kind of sucks really bad, but it's what we have to do. And unfortunately, we can't clear like that buggy and the Makino. That's ideal, right? But can't always do what we want. And I mean, we have to get rid of the Makino. If we don't here, like, it's just too big of a problem for us to deal with. Like, it just makes all of these little guys better. And if he has another one, I honestly think we just lose next turn regardless. He just gets too many hits in. That's the problem with this matchup. Actually, I think he might have threw. I think he threw. 8. We have a 2. I think he might have just thrown 8. I have a beam. Got 1. Do we triple Newgate here? That's actually crazy. Let's see. If he has the beam, that puts him to 9. Another 2k puts him to 11. I feel like we need to go like 13 with our Newgate. 13 with Newgate, and then 10. No. Let's do 12s. 12, 12, and then 12. I feel like he could still stop this, though, which is kind of what sucks. I wonder if we do just do the Newgate. Honestly, I'm thinking we might. I don't know. I kind of feel like we need to go pushing for lethal here. Let's attack him and see what happens. See if he takes it or not. I imagine he does have another rad beam. And like, if he does, I mean, let's, oh, this is so tough here. Like, it's a win-lose situation. Like, we win now or we lose next turn. So yeah, I mean, I think we just go for it. 3, make him 13, and then that leaves me with 7 to make my other leader 13. I think that is the play. And then we'll pop the Mogura. It doesn't really matter. I guess the buggy was the right choice there. But like I said, I mean, we kind of just die next turn if he's able to defend one of these hits, so. Takes it. Puts him up to 6. I mean, we go for it. Fuck it, we ball. As Luffy said, if you don't take a risk, you cannot have a future. 10. I imagine he has it, right? Wow, he doesn't have it. Well, if you don't take a risk, you can't make a future, as Luffy once said himself. And we were able to win that game against a bad matchup with no Dawn ramp that entire game as well, and not having many counters either. So, like I said, I think that this deck really has a place in the meta right now, and it's just not being utilized by people. They just want to play the new leaders a little bit more than this one. And granted, like I said, I feel like Enel is a really tough matchup for this deck. Sakazuki, not so much. Purple Luffy, if they see double Magellan, you're kind of done for. But, I mean, we just played a game against a deck that's not good for us, that is very fast-paced, that can easily get in a lot of 6k hits on us. We had minimal counter, and we didn't even have any of our ramp, and we were able to pull it out by the skin of our teeth, that is, but we still were able to pull it out by literally 1k counter. I think if he had not triggered that rad beam and he held it, well, I guess he didn't have any active, right? He only had the 1 for the 1 rad beam. But I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Let's take one more last look at this deck list. And this is the list one last time. Like I said, I'd love for you to try it out. If you've been testing this leader and you have something different that you've been testing out and it's been working really well for you, let me know. I've been trying to think of better ways to combat Enel. I've been thinking about playing some other cards, some goofier cards, some stuff that is very non-traditional and probably wouldn't work very well. But if you have any special techs for this deck, definitely let me know. This is the deck that I've been playing a lot recently, and I want to make it as good as I can, and I want to perform with it as well as I can too. So let me know what you have to say down in the comments below or in my Discord channel. And if you haven't checked out Dueling Guard, definitely make sure to go check that out. Get your hands on that 3 captain set while it's still up there, and use code GumGumTCG for a discount at checkout. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.